Dear students, welcome for the lecture series on tourism. Today we are going to discuss about an interesting topic of tourism, that is tourism and socio-economic development. The topic can be studied under the following subheadings: socio-economic development of India, tourism's contribution to employment generation, development of backward areas, rural tourism, and social aspects of tourism. Let us start with the socio-economic development of India. Tourism is a socio-economic phenomenon which has become one of the world's largest and fastest growing industries. Tourism has assumed unprecedented significance in recent years. Today, it is available to everyone in the developed societies and even in the developing countries. The tourism has attracted almost the entire world. It is an important human activity of great significance. The economic impact of tourism has been commonly viewed as a positive force which increases total income for the host country, direct and indirect employment and tax revenues. It also stimulates secondary economic growth. Economists consider the tourism as an basic income. From tourism, it helps to pay for goods and services imported from other regions and contribution to government revenues through taxes that can be used to develop community and infrastructural facilities and service to assist in general economic development. Economic benefits of tourism. Tourism has now become an important economic activity with high potential in order to earn substantial amount of foreign exchange. As per RBI's latest estimates, the foreign exchange earnings from tourism stood at Rs 2,340.6 crores in the year 2013 and 14. The major economic benefit in promoting the tourism industry has been the earning of foreign exchange. Income from foreign tourists in the form of foreign exchange increases the national income. Tourism as an industry can provide income from the sale of goods and services. It is the opportunity to increase the income level of the local people that has motivated countries to attract tourists from abroad. However, the availability of foreign exchange will be reduced by the imports of goods and services to be supplied to the foreign tourists. Generally, the receiving country itself is unable to provide essential goods to the tourist due to shortages. Since the foreign tourists have sophisticated demand, a backward country finds it difficult to provide the facilities. The net revenue of foreign exchange would be partly decided by the terms of trade, that is, the prices paid in the country by the tourist and the prices paid for the import of goods and services supplied to the foreign tourist. Arrival of international tourists from the world as a whole has been on the increase since 2014. There were only 86 million international arrivals in 2014. The foreign tourist arrivals continued to increase in 2011 after a massive growth of 29.1% in 2013. A total of 11,63,774 foreign tourists visited India during the year 2013, registering a growth of 7.8% over the last year. Tourists from Bangladesh and Pakistan showed less interest to visit India during 2014 and registered a decline of around 13.6% over the last year. Foreign tourist inflow dropped by 11.2% in January 1999 as compared to January 2000. The figures for February fell by 12.1%. There has been a decline of about 8.2% in tourist traffic into the country during March this year as compared to last year. Tourism's contribution to employment generation. Another major direct economic effect of tourism relates to employment generation. The problem of unemployment is more acute in the developing countries. Tourism is generally considered as labor intensive. In a country like India with abundant labor, the employment multiplier of tourism will certainly be larger than the income multiplier. It provides employment from highly trained managers of 5-star hotels to room boys, travel agents, tour operators and other tourism service providers. Besides those involved in management, there are a large number of specialist personnel who work as accountants, waiters, housekeepers, cooks and entertainers who in turn require the help of a large number of semi-skilled workers, that is porters, kitchen staff, gardeners, chambermaids and so on. Moreover, it can be said that tourism is also responsible for creating employment outside the industry, and in this regard, those who supply goods and services to those who are directly engaged in tourism are equally benefited from tourism. Such indirect employment includes those involved in souvenir industries, furnishing and equipment industries and farming and food supply. During the year 2013, the employment multiplier of international tourism in India was 14.31 and domestic tourism was 6.20%. The total direct employment on account of tourism was about 17.50 million for the year 2017. Presently, over 55 million persons are directly employed in the industry and another 8 million are involved indirectly. As per the data available in India, tourism creates twice as much indirect employment as direct employment. In 2013, this sector is estimated to have generated employment around 12.42 million in the country, which includes 3.5 million direct employment. During the year 2012 to 17, the total employment due to tourism is estimated to be 12.4 million in the country. Presently, it generates direct employment of about 8 million people and indirectly employs another 11.5 million, needs revamping in view of the scale of international tourism. Tourism generates employment in construction industry and among supplies of goods and services. Effects of tourism on prices. The impact of tourism on local economy can also be examined with reference to its influence on the prices of various commodities available in the local market. Tourists are ready to pay extra prices in comparison to local customers. They especially compete in the accommodation field. Sometimes tourists are not directly competing with local people because of their different demands for those of local customers. In addition to this direct influence of tourist expenditure, we should also take into account the influence of expenditure made by persons associated with tourism such as transport operators, hotel employees, etc. The multiplier effect of tourism. While considering receipts from domestic tourism, international tourism alone adds a great deal. The flow of money generated by tourist spending multiplies as it passes through various sections of the economy. Besides, as being an important source of income, tourism provides a number of other economic benefits which differ in importance from one country to another. The advantages from infrastructure investments primarily for tourism, that is roads, airports, water supply and public utilities, may be widely shared by the other sectors. Tourist facilities wise, hotels, restaurants, museums, sports complexes, clubs, public transport, national parks are also used by domestic tourists, businessmen and residents, although a significant portion of the costs may be borne by tourists abroad. Tourists and visitors also contribute to tax revenue directly through sales tax and indirectly through property, profits and income taxes. Tourism creates employment and thus brings infrastructure developments and may help regional imbalances. Moving on to development of backward areas. The advantages from infrastructure investment justified mainly for tourism and roads, airports, water supply and other public utilities may be widely shared by other sectors. Besides the development of new infrastructure, the improvements in the existing infrastructure in order to attract the tourist is also no less important. These improvements may benefit the resident population by offering them with facilities. Furthermore, the provision of infrastructure may serve the purpose of encouragement for greater economic diversification. A number of secondary industries may be promoted which may not serve the requirements of tourism. Thus, tourist expenditure may indirectly be responsible for accelerating other economic activities. Deficiency in basic infrastructures is one of the characteristics of development. It creates a series of serious problems in regard to the development of tourism. Moreover, the increase in traffic due to national and international tourism is a reward for the capital invested and can nowadays contribute to the financial efforts required for maintenance. The degree of development achieved in this particular sector now permits tourist progress to a great extent and simultaneously proving further the complementary character of tourism in regard to other economic sectors. Creation of basic infrastructure for the sake of tourism will also serve the needs of other sectors of the tourism, viz. Industry and agriculture. The result of this better equilibrium of general economic growth. Next is rural tourism. Rural tourism is essentially an activity which takes place in countryside. It is multifaceted and may entail form are agricultural tourism, cultural tourism, nature tourism, adventure tourism and ecotourism. As against conventional tourism, rural tourism has certain typical characteristics. It is experience oriented, the locations are less populated, it is predominantly in natural environments and it is based on the preservation of culture, heritage and traditions. The scheme of rural tourism was started by the Ministry of Tourism in 2002 to 2003 with the objective of highlighting rural life, art, culture and heritage at rural locations which have core competence in art, craft, handloom, textiles and natural environment. The intention was to benefit the local community economically and socially as well as to enable interaction between tourists and local population for a mutually enriching experience. The promotion of village tourism was also aimed towards generating revenue for rural communities through tourist visits, which may stop from rural to urban areas. Infrastructural development for rural tourism. Rural tourism can be harnessed as a strategy for rural development. The development of a strong platform around the concept of rural tourism is definitely useful for a country like India, where almost 74% of the population resides in its 7 million villages. On the other hand, the growing trend of urbanization has led to falling of income levels, lesser job opportunities leading to desertion of villages. Rural tourism could be a solution to this. Challenges in rural tourism. The major challenges of rural tourism are need to preserve the environment and natural resources, the need for education, proper understanding for both tourists and local people, and the need to generate a democratic movement which helps people at all levels to participate in tourism development. Also, they need to focus on occupation training, handicraft promotion and improvement of both the landscape and the basic infrastructure to increase the quality of life of villagers by creating a healthy environment. The cooperative system in rural tourism can be an effective approach in bringing positive impact in rural areas. Local people can monitor and control the negative impacts of tourism on their own society if they have an equal stake and authority in management and development. Rural tourism projects are initiated in 186 villages in 29 states or union territories, have been sanctioned by the Ministry of Tourism since the inception of the scheme. 56 of these sites are located in the northeastern region. A total amount of rupees 55.40 crores was sanctioned for rural tourism projects during the 11th 5-year plan. During the 25th 5-year plan, the scheme of rural tourism is being replaced with the scheme of rural tourism cluster. The modified scheme aims at developing a cluster of villages as tourism product. Coming to social aspects of tourism. Tourism plays a significant role in advancing traffic between nations and enabling people of diverse ethnic groups and cultures to intermingle. Tourism is a source of attraction and curiosity for mankind. Travel had also played its important role in maintaining cultural linkage. While planning for future development of tourism, it will be desirable to consider social aspects of tourism in this era of mass tourism in India too. As a matter of fact, the strength of India is the unity in diversity which has been achieved through the mutual understanding and tolerance of cultural differences of different sections living in different corners of the country. In view of increasing importance of leisure, people will have to imparted training for the better utilization of leisure. Development of tourism is closely linked with the efficiency of giving training in order to utilize leisure. Nowadays, people have been more mobile because of increasing in income and growing transport facilities. If leisure is ample, tourism as a commodity would satisfy the needs of modern societies. Another social phenomenon has also influenced tourism because of increase in longevity of individuals. A promotion of people who are leading retired life doing no work actively has increased. Thus, old people have utilized leisure to its fullest extent. Tourism is an appropriate product which would satisfy the needs of the new leisure society. The increase in mental tensions in advanced industrialized society is one of the characteristics of modern society. It is observed that growth of mental tensions due to difficult tasks, busy time schedule and inability to cope with rapid changing conditions has been increasing rapidly. Tourism provides an opportunity to these people to satisfy an important social need of remaining away from working place. Socio-cultural impacts of tourism. Although the tourist is a temporary visitor to a destination, he or she leaves behind lasting impacts on the host community. The economic impact of tourism, that is, the dollar or other foreign currency is consumed or invested by the host, but what host has been or learnt in the brief encounter with the tourist is often retained and imitated. The demonstration effect in terms of clothing, food system and behavioral pattern often leave their lasting marks in underdeveloped and developing countries. Coming to the conclusion, tourism alters the economic structure of a destination. The economic impact of tourism is the subject of analysis at two ways. One is generally positive about industry prospects, while other is negative. Tourism is a major element of sources of capital and income to the local people. The economic significance of tourism activity is taking place, but also by the type and nature of economic being considered. It is accepted that tourism could be an accelerator to economic growth. Tourism has now become an important economic activity with high potential in order to earn substantial amount of foreign exchange. The major economic benefit in promoting the tourism industry has been the earning of foreign exchange. Income from foreign tourists in the form of foreign exchange increases the national income. Thank you.